Okay, welcome everyone to another exciting session of our PD week. The current session you are attending is entitled Get More Visible Using Video, and just like the other sessions, we'll have some presentation from our guest, and you have the opportunity to interact also with our presenter, ask questions, and so on. Just like with the other sessions, please give me 2 to 3 days to update your attendance, and after that the exit quiz for this PT session will be available for you. In order to get the credits, you must take the quiz as well. It is my very big pleasure to introduce our guest for this session, Reim El Houni. And before I introduce her, I also want to thank our partners, Young Arab Leaders, for creating this contact with Reim. Reim is a member of YAL. Her career includes working with TV stations like the BBC, to being an executive producer and head of events at Dubai One. Reim launched her own production company, Ti22 Films, in January 2011, which has won 25 New York Festival Awards and a Cannes Corporate Media and TV Award. Reim has worked with some of the global largest multinational companies such as Amazon, Reebok, Swarovski, LG Electronics, to name a few, and broadcasters such as National Geographic, Discovery Channel, and many more. Reim has served on the jury of the New York Festival for 7 years and is a speaker, moderator, and panelist. YAL member Reim founded Dubai On Demand in 2014, where the world of branded content and influencer marketing collide, which has evolved into a video-based personal branding membership community for business owners and thought leaders. She also supports organizations as a media consultant and video strategist, developing workshops and training for teams. Reim's largest adventure is executive producing the daily live TV show Studio Expo for Expo 2020. The show aired globally daily, featuring a wide range of guests and topics from presidents to Michelin star chefs to celebrities, performers to dignitaries from around the world. And Reim, it is our really great pleasure to have you here with us. Over to you now.
Thank you so much, Vasilina, and thank you so much to all of you for tuning in today. I highly appreciate it. I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen. In the meantime, this is going to be a very interactive session. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from all the hiding people as well. I know you're there. Hope you find the chat bar. And just in the chat bar, I want to know where you're from. I want everyone to type in and let me know hello. Let me know where you're from, so I know that we're all engaging. That includes all the hiding people. And whilst you do that, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Croatia, I've just seen. It's interesting. Let's take a look. Okay. Right, we have Croatia, we have Bulgaria, we have USA, we have the UK. That's amazing. We've got a very international group with us today. We have Romania again, UK, Canada, Morocco, India, Anupama from India, Tahmina from Pakistan, Victor from Poland. That's awesome. That is amazing. And I'm super excited to have you all here, because it doesn't really matter where you're from. The power of video is really strong. The era is now, and it's important for everyone to take advantage of this and become visible. So we're going to be talking about how you can get visible using video. And I want you to just look at this for a moment and have a think. Let me know if this resonates with any of you. Are you, number one, are you somebody, sorry, I'm just trying to lose my chat. Are you somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, but you're unsure how to use it to attract your audience or to attract your customers? Is this who you are? Are you number one? Are you number two? You know you could be attracting more new opportunities than you currently are. Are you number three? Someone who's been told you need to start with video, but you don't know how to figure it out, or you're shy on camera, which is often the case. Or are you number four? You feel overwhelmed and simply don't have time to plan a video content strategy. Which one are you? Let me know in the chat bar which one you are. Are you number one, unsure how to use your knowledge? Number two, want to attract new customers? Number three, you've been told to start videos. Number four, overwhelmed and don't have time. Number five, you're none of the above. You just thought this is a cool session. I'm curious. I've got time on my hands. Let me know which one you are in the chat bar. Are you one, two, three, four, or five? Shema is two. Festus is two. Mohammed is four. Okay. Anyone else? We can see that two is already a common one, which is want to start, want to attract new customers. Shy on camera is probably the most popular one. Unsure how to use your knowledge. You'd be surprised how often that one comes up. So you can see a lot of you have very similar reasons why you haven't started on video yet. And today I want to dispel some of those myths and get you started. We're going to be talking about how you can build your visibility by leveraging your knowledge. You're all educators, you're all in the education business, you have a lot of knowledge, it's time to use it. How to attract new customers, it could be even new students, the same philosophies apply. How to get started with videos, gain confidence in front of the camera, how to plan so you save time, and so much more. That's the objective of my time with you here today. Does this feel like you? Are you sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, this is way too much. I don't want to be doing this. What am I doing here? I can see someone nodding already. Or maybe you're like, no, 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 no. You're talking about cameras. I'm not comfortable in front of a camera. I don't want to be doing this. Or maybe you're like, oh my God, technology is getting super complicated. This is not my world. I'm just happy using my phone to call people. Or maybe you just got way too many things to do and it's just nowhere near your list of priorities. Well, we're going to be discussing all of that. You're going to discover how simple it can be. It doesn't have to be so complicated. So for a moment, I want you to imagine that you can wave a magic wand and all of your content is organized and you're standing out in the crowd and you're super confident on camera and you've got loads of time to spare. I want everyone to just imagine that. It is possible. It is possible. Why do I think I'm the person who can help you do that? I know Vaseline already mentioned some of these points in the introduction. I do have over 25 international awards from New York and from Cannes. I've been doing this a long time. I am a speaker, consultant, panelist. I'm always talking about my area of expertise, which is video content. I'm very, very passionate about it. I'm a contributor to a number of magazines about the topic. Everything I do is about this topic. And I have over 20 years experience in this industry, running my group of companies, all in the video space. Ti22 Films, we do a lot of high-end projects, on demand. We work with a lot of personalities and coaches and consultants. And I started the DIY Video Academy as well to teach people how to get started. But more recently, what has taken over my life in the last 6 months has been Expo. So we have been producing a daily live show from Expo called Studio Expo. But beyond all of that, why do I think I can help you? Because I'm someone who always stayed behind the camera. I've been in this industry over 20 years and I always stayed behind the camera. In fact, I never really could understand why people put themselves out there, why they were in front of it. And for those, I mean, I'm originally from Libya, I'm Arab, and I came from a family who always looked at that kind of thing and thought, hey, you know, what are you doing putting yourself out there? You know, or whenever I did, I'll have like that, which means, you know, they're going to give you the evil eye. Why are you putting yourself in the public eye? And it wasn't really considered the thing to do to really promote yourself. I find that a lot of people culturally, whether you're Arabic or not, even Asian, a very similar mindset of it being inappropriate to promote yourself. And maybe even more so as a female, you kind of grow up thinking this isn't the right thing to do and it feels a bit embarrassing. And so as a result, you just don't do it. And being in media, I was working with more and more people who were putting themselves out there. And I just didn't get it. I thought, why do they need to do that? The power is really behind the scenes, not in front of the scenes. Until I worked on a massive, massive Hollywood movie. I worked on Mission Impossible. And can anyone guess the number one question I get asked? Let me know in the chat bar. The number one question I get asked when people know I worked on the movie.
Did you meet Tom Cruise?
Shema once thinks I got asked, how is Tom Cruise? Yeah, how is Tom Cruise? Did I meet Tom Cruise? Basically, do I have his phone? Yep, I get asked every possible question there is to know about Tom Cruise. I don't get asked one single question about my experience working on a Hollywood movie. And you sort of sit there and you think, how is this possible? Does no one really care about what I do behind the scenes, what I do behind the camera? They just seem to care about what happened in front of it. And you just realize that people's attention just goes to what's in front of the camera. If you're not visible, you're invisible. It's that simple. And if you walk away with one statement from this whole session, if you're not visible, you're invisible. And that's precisely how I felt after working on a Hollywood movie with Tom Cruise. And it just made me really think, like, what is going on here? Why is people's attention focused on what they can see? And I came across this term, which is leapfrogged. Have you ever been in that situation where maybe you're scrolling through LinkedIn and suddenly you see people who maybe they're not as experienced as you, maybe they haven't been around in the market as long as you have, but somehow they're attracting these opportunities and somehow they're super visible, and you're just like, how is this happening? How is it possible that they've got these credentials, they've got this, this power suddenly? How did that happen? Have I been leapfrogged? Surely, have I been skipped in life? As this is an opportunity that I may be more suited for. I know it's happened to me. I know I've looked around and I've seen someone who maybe popped into the market in the last year suddenly appear all over social media. But that's what it is. Perception is reality. It's the visibility that makes the difference. And that's where it really struck for me, that the more visible you are, the more opportunities you attract for yourself and for your business. So it comes back to that one statement: if you're not visible, you're invisible. And then I worked with this lady. Does anyone here know who she is? Let me know if you're in the chat, or you can open your mic. Does anyone know who this lady is? She's a very, very famous chef. Yes, good guess. The apron gave it away. Manal Al-Alam. Yes, thank you, Shema. And I think Abin Hamid knows Manal as well. So she is a very, very well-known personality. But what was really interesting about working with her is she is someone who is in her 60s, and I was working with her on a cooking series. And I asked her, I said, how did you get started? And she said, you know what? My kids always told me that I was a great chef. And they always said, mama, put a recipe out, just put it on YouTube, let's see what happens. So it was her kids who kind of nudged her along, and she put that first video up, and it did so well, that like a week later they're like, mama, you have to put another one up, and she was like, really? And it was all kind of not something she planned. She just followed, the intuition of her kids, put another video up. And within like 3 years, I think she had crossed over 3 million followers on Instagram. She's got her own TV shows. And we were actually filming in her basement, where she'd built a custom kitchen, because it's now turned into a complete new revenue stream for herself. Like, she's literally like filming there almost daily for different partners and different sponsors. And it's a legitimate living. And what I love about this story is that Manal didn't grow up with social media. She didn't grow up with social media. She didn't grow up filming herself. She didn't grow up, thinking this was okay, as many of us, she grew up the way most of us did. Yet she managed to take advantage of this later in life. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is for those of you who feel like the ship has sailed and not something I can start right now. She started it late in life and is doing amazingly well, and is only one example of many. So I'm hoping that's just an example for you to take away. But it did make me think. It made me think, you know what? If Manal can do this, I can do this. It's like, I have the ability, I have the skill, I have the knowledge, I know what I'm talking about. And actually, I entered a pitch contest, which I won, which was judged by Kevin O'Leary. And what was the interesting thing about that experience is he, through the pandemic, mentioned that 80% of his investments survived because they doubled down on their digital strategy and their video content. And to me, when you hear like an investor like him, who's very well known, really credit the power of video, it kind of it's more fuel, to the flame, where you think like, okay, this is something I really need to start doing. So I did. I started post more video content of myself on LinkedIn, sharing my knowledge. So the key thing here is sharing your knowledge. Each of you have knowledge in different areas. So you may not realize it, but there's a lot in there that people want to know. And the minute I started to do that, I started to see a lot of interest. The key thing to this is doing it consistently. So I post very regular content and I get really good feedback. And then I realized I'm not alone. There are a lot of these stories. There's a lady called Karen Osman. She's an award-winning author. And interestingly, she was also very shy, very nervous. She didn't want to put herself out there. It took quite a push to get her to start. But once she started and she's doing it consistently, she's attracting a whole world of new opportunities and clients just through her video content. Similarly, this is an interesting one because she's a coach. So similar to you guys, she's teaching people every day. So she's in a position of authority, she's teaching people every day, but somehow when it came to her getting in front of the camera and sharing her knowledge, it was like, no, 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 I can't do this. So it took a year of trying to convince Niru to start creating video content. And now she's pretty much doing LinkedIn lives every week because she's built that confidence. And it's one of those things that it's a muscle that you build. This is probably one of my favorites. Lucy Chow. I don't know if anyone in the group knows Lucy Chow. Let me know in the chat bar if you do. But Lucy Chow is very well known in the financial world. She runs the Women's Angel Investment Network. Very confident. She does a lot of speaking. But when it came to videos, she was like, who's gonna watch my videos? Like, I mean, honestly, like people can research this information. They can Google, they'll find it out. I'm like, but they're not gonna hear it the way you'll share it. You know, they're not gonna hear it from your perspective, you know, a Chinese businesswoman in the Middle East. That's a very specific perspective, which is going to appeal to certain people. She started creating her videos, and within 2 years, she became one of LinkedIn's top MENA voices. And I'm just sharing these examples because I'm hoping one of them will resonate with you somewhere where you feel like, okay, yes, I resonate with this person. It's time for me to maybe consider this as something useful. And it's working. Like for me, it's working. I get a lot of direct messages, different people offering me different opportunities or wanting to work with me. And it's a lot of it happens in private. It's not always what you think. It's not the comments and the engagement in public. It's the messages that you receive in private that actually lead somewhere. But there is an elephant in the room, and you guys are probably sitting here thinking, okay, yeah, you're talking to me about all of these personalities, these strong people, people who are used to speaking. But what I need you all to realize is that thought leader is in any industry. These are just some of the people that we work with. And it's really about honing in on your knowledge and your area of expertise. We have a lady called Maktoum who's in the top right. She's a clinical dietitian. And it's really about her honing in on her knowledge base, which is how to be healthier. We have a Chef Sven. He is obsessed with the world of bread. He knows everything there is to know about bread, all 300 and I don't know, 45 different types of sourdough. Hone in on that knowledge that he has a fan base who want to learn about bread. Whoever it is, we've got lawyers, we've got movers, we've got people in sustainability, similar to you guys. Whatever your level of expertise, you have knowledge, which there will be an audience out there ready to learn. But what I've realized is the people who benefit the most from video content are coaches and educators, because they're already used to teaching. I mean, so for you guys, you're already in a situation where you probably have loads of material that you teach on a regular basis. It's about taking that content and turning it into bite-sized video content, which will hopefully grow your audience as well. Why does it work? Why does it work for coaches? Because it builds trust. It builds trust. So before I'm going to come to one of your sessions, if I was to watch a video of you, I hear you, I see you, I like you, there's a higher chance of me signing up and wanting to sit in one of your classes. So it really does make a very, very big difference. There are certain industries that where video plays a very, very big part. Usually it's doctors, it's dentists, it's psychologists, it's anyone in the professional sphere. But teachers and coaches and consultants are another one, because that's a relationship where I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you. So I want to know if I can trust you and I can learn from you. So that's where video can really set you apart from anybody else. So I want to ask this question. Any guesses the percentage of people who are more likely to do business with you after watching a video of you on camera? Any guesses? Let me know in the chat bar the percentage. Any guesses? The percentage of people who are more likely to do business with you. I've got 65, I've got 60, I've got 70, I've got 74, 20, 90, 60, quite a range, right? Like clearly we all have very different thoughts about this topic. You might be surprised to know it's 66%. 60,
Yeah, what's the word for Finland?
Reem, excuse me. Sahid, please mute yourself. Thank you.
So 66% of people are more likely to do business with you after they've watched you on camera. That's a really high number, you know. So if you weren't considering it before, now is the time for you to think about it. Have I convinced some of you? I want to see yeses in the chat bar if I've convinced some of you that you're going to give this a go. You're going to be open-minded to this idea. I'm loving Shaima's interactivity. Thank you, Shaima. Abdul Ghafar, yeah, great. Festus is a yes, great. So hopefully more of you are realizing this is important. It's important to step out of your comfort zone and jump into the circle. So how are you going to do this? We're going to talk a little bit about how to build your visibility, how to attract those customers, how to get started, build your confidence, how to plan, and more. So how are we going to do all of this? Well, I have this little framework called GROW. So we're going to G, we're going to get the attention of your perfect prospect. We're going to R, reach those ready to buy with one video. We're going to own our space because it is about our expertise. And then hopefully watch our, in your case, it might be your enrollments grow. But that's the objective we have. So let's get started with the G, getting the attention of your perfect prospect. How do you get their attention? And a big part of it first is identifying who your customer is and their online habits. That's a key thing. Understanding how to tap into what your customer needs and create content that will get attention of the people you want to attract. So the first part in this is, who is your customer? Who is it that you want to attract? And for you, I know many, I mean, I'm talking to faculty here, so it may be, who is the ideal student that you have? What do they look like, right? And it's important to know that because their habits differ, and knowing how to appeal to them and where they're based. So have a think of who is your ideal customer. Know them, know your audience. So know where their demographics, where they are geographically. Are they based in the UAE? You're a very multinational group. So does your ideal student need to be based in a certain country? Maybe not. Are they a specific age? Do they have certain personality traits? Do they behave a certain way? Identify what that looks like for you. Because if you're clear on who they are, then we can start to analyze what their habits are and what types of videos are going to work for them and where to attract them. So it kind of all starts with knowing who they are. Does that make sense? Can I get a bit of feedback? Does that make sense? We just want to make sure we know who they are. And sometimes it's not always who you think they are. You know, sometimes it's like we're talking about our ideal customers, our ideal students. You might be, I'll just put this out there, I don't know, but maybe you get a lot of students from, I don't know, let's say you get a lot of students from Kuwait for some reason, but actually your favorite students are from Germany, you know, but you only have like 2 or 3 of those. So we want to attract more students from Germany. So let's identify, what do they have in common? You know, are they a certain age? Are they certain based in a certain location? Do they have certain personality traits? So it's not about looking at who you have more of. It's looking at who you want more of, if that makes sense, right? Because you want to attract more of that particular type of student. And you have to realize that the percentage of people online is massive. You know, it keeps growing day by day. In fact, we've crossed over, I think it's 4.7 billion. So we've crossed half the world's population that is active on social media. So we also want to know their online habits. So based on the age group that you're targeting, they're more likely to be active on different platforms. So just to give you a quick example, one of the ladies that I work with, she's an interior designer, and you know, she'd been working with me for some time. She'd been posting a lot of videos, and she was saying, "Oh, it's not working. I'm not attracting any customers. I really, you know, this isn't working for me." I was like, "Hang on, where are you posting your videos?" She's like, "I'm posting them on Instagram. No one responds to me on Instagram." Okay, well, but who are you trying to attract? Who's the customer you're trying to attract? She's like, "Oh, well, I work with CEOs. You know, I work with, they're usually in their 50s, they're male." I'm like, "Okay, do you think any of your ideal customers have Instagram accounts?" Probably not, actually. Okay, well, where do you think they're active? They're quite active on LinkedIn. Great. Well, if we know that the ideal customer that you're trying to attract is active on LinkedIn, you should be posting relevant content for them on LinkedIn. You know, don't waste your time in trying to do everything under the sun. Figure out like where your ideal customer is, and that's the strategy, the video strategy you need to have. And the minute she started focusing on LinkedIn, ta-da, like magic, you know, she was now suddenly, you know, envisioned for her ideal customer, and that started to build some momentum. So it's just an important thing to realize that results do vary from one platform to the next, but ultimately what is the differentiator here is knowing where your ideal, who they are, and then knowing where they are. So it all starts with who they are. And then knowing, what do they need, right? What do they need? What are the questions that they're typing into Google? So believe it or not, the most asked, most term that's Googled is how do I, right? How do I? People want to learn. So everyone's going into Google going, how do I? So what are those questions that people are asking that you could potentially answer, right? There are a lot of tools you can use. So for example, you can go onto like Quora, see what people are searching for. You can go onto Google keyword tool, see what people are, typing in there. I think there are a few websites. I think one is called Ask Anything. So there are a couple of sites out there where you can probably check what audiences are searching for, and then really take that information back and cater your content to answer people's questions. Because when people type that question in, you want your content to be the answer. So that's a key thing. And then also think, how am I going to stand out? There's so much content out there. How are you going to be different? And one of the key ways for you to stand out is often for you to truly embrace your niche. So just to give you a few examples, I mentioned the chef earlier. Our chef Sven, if you type in chef, you type in bakery, you'll get loads of chefs and loads of bakeries. But he's a specialist in bread. So we've kind of branded his content the truth about bread. So he's going to stand out, because if I want to know about bread, I'd rather go to a bread expert than I'd go to a random chef. I mean, it's the same logic when it goes to, if anyone is ill at any point, you'd rather go to a specialist than go to a general practitioner. Like, generally speaking, you want someone who'll solve the problem. So look at your knowledge base and what area can you really hone in on? What area can you claim and say, like, that's my area? Because that's going to help you stand out the more niche you are in your expertise. In my case, I understand content very well. I work across all types of content, but out of everything, I'm very passionate about video. So that's how I stand out, because I own that specific topic. It doesn't mean I don't do the other things, but this is where I want to stand out. So have a think for yourselves. What is that area? And one of the questions I like to ask is, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to be known for? So ask yourselves that question. What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be the generalist, or do you want to be the specialist? And in your case, what does that specialization look like? Give me a thumbs up or a yes or a hello if I've got you, because I just want to make sure we're all, and if anyone knows the answer already, let me know. Do you know what it is you want to be known for? I want to be known as your video content coach, your video content coach, your video content creation coach. That's what I want to be known for, right? Well, what is it that you want to be known for? If anyone already has the answer to that, let me know in the chat bar, or maybe if you have a question about it, because sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes it isn't something that comes up straight away. So Abdul Ghaffar says he's not sure about it, which is fair. Sometimes you need to experiment, right? Sometimes you need to try different types of content and see what resonates best for you. I'll give you another example, because it's not always what you think. So we work with a lawyer, and she started creating all these legal videos, like teaching people about law. And suddenly she stopped filming and she lost all of her momentum. And I just asked her, like, why have you stopped? And she's like, I don't enjoy it. She's like, I spend my whole day talking about law, and now I have to create videos about law. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. Like, okay, well, what do you enjoy? And she's like, well, you know what? I really enjoy entrepreneurial stories and understanding those stories. And then the minute she realized that, and that shift happens, she can't stop filming. She's like filming videos every week. So the point I'm trying to make is that you may not always know the answer straight away. It might be worth you going down a road where you start a little bit like, this doesn't quite fit like my specialization, or fit the way, I may not want to spend this much time on this particular area, because it's important you're passionate about the area that you're going to be creating content about. So even Victor says business valuation. That's an awesome topic, because there's so much content in that area, and so many people have questions about valuation, how to do it, what the metrics are, what the KPIs are, so much. But even within business valuation, you could niche down even more if you wanted to. Specialist for your main area of teaching. Exactly. So take the knowledge you already have. This is not about going out there and like learning more. You have knowledge. It's how do you take what you know and create content out of that knowledge to help you stand out. So with R, we've done, that was the G, thinking about how you can grow, reach those ready to buy with one video. Because a lot of people think, oh my God, there's going to be a lot of work. How am I going to keep doing this? So I want you to understand the types of video that can work for you and get you results, and know how to leverage one successful video to do it over and over again. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Types of video. There are so many different types of video out there. There's so many. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. I don't want you to think, oh my God, this is super complicated. I want you to think about three. There are three things that maybe you should look at working on. The simplest one is called a piece to camera. You'll see it abbreviated as a PTC. And what that means is literally just you talking to camera. So that's like what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to camera. This is probably the easiest thing for you to do. You're all educators, you all have knowledge. Get a bite-sized piece of information, look at a camera and share it. And it does well. The key thing to remember is that you have to teach someone something. So that's a big thing that I've learned, is that people want to learn. We've already realized that that's what people are Googling. So how do you teach them something? Tell them in as simple a form as possible. So it's also about keeping it short. So if anyone watches any of my videos, they're usually just under a minute long. And they're usually under a minute long because viewer retention is pretty low. And for me, if anyone sends me a video, the first thing I look at when anyone sends me a video is the duration. And if it's too long, I'm like, I do not have time for this. But if it's short, it has the chance of me clicking that play button. So you don't want anyone to have those objections. So literally think about the simplest point you can give in under a minute, look at the camera and say it. And that's a piece to camera, and they work really well. So even if all you do is that will help build your visibility. The second type of video I want to talk about is demonstrations. So video is a visual medium, right? So people like to see a transformation, like to see a change of some sort. So is there something you can demonstrate? It may not be as easy for everybody, but for example, is there a software you can demonstrate? Perhaps you're always telling people how to use a particular tool. Can you show them how to use it? Can you do screenshots? Can you do, just to screen recording to show people how to actually do a particular formula on an Excel sheet? Whatever it is that you normally teach in your class, is there something that can be demonstrated? Because it's always helpful for people to watch and see and learn. It's far more visual than you telling them. So we've discussed pieces to camera, but then demonstrations are the second type of video that you can work on. And the third, which is really popular, is interviews. One of the reasons they're popular is because it kind of reduces the pressure off you. It's not just about you standing in front of the camera anymore. There's someone there sharing the screen with you, and the emphasis is usually on the person who's being interviewed. But one of the other benefits of doing interviews is that it can really help grow your reach, especially if you're selective and smart about the people you're interviewing. So find people who can, tap into your audience. Because that's where you'll see the synergy, and hopefully that will help grow your visibility as well. So pieces to camera, demonstrations, and interviews. I'd love to hear from you in the chat bar if any of those 3 videos feel like something you can start with. Could you start with one of those? Piece to camera, demonstrations, interviews, keeping in mind that they're short, right? So this is not an overwhelming thing. You can literally take something from your classroom material, literally, take that one key theme and run with it. So Abdul Ghaffar is ready to do a demonstration. That's great, right? So it's literally just find whatever's the easiest. And the reason I say the easiest is because if it's easy, you'll keep doing it. If it's challenging, you're like, that was way too difficult. I don't have time for this. I don't want to do it anymore. But if it's easy, then it's like, I can do this. And if it's super easy, then you can get to a stage that many of us are at, where we film everything in one day and, we don't need to worry about it for the month ahead. So you want to make it as easy as possible. How do videos convert into money? That is an excellent question. Not easily, to be honest. It's not, for me, it's about growing the visibility to attract new opportunities, which equals credibility. So there is this whole profitability, there's a whole formula, maybe you're aware of it, called VCP. The more visible you are, right? Visible as in I can see you, I see you every day, I'm posting every day. And the more credible you are, so the information that you're sharing is of value, right? I want to keep watching you every day, because if I'm watching you, then I'm learning from you. Eventually you become profitable. So VCP. And I've seen that happen for myself. And that's why I'm so confident talking about this, because if you remember at the start of this presentation, I mentioned that I never put myself in front of the camera, ever. This is a shift for me only in the last maybe 4 years. Prior to that, you won't find a video of me anywhere. But it was a shift that I had to do because I'm in this industry and I'm telling everyone else to do it. So I'm like, I have to do, take my own medicine. And I've seen the shift. It took a good year. I'd say the first year was just building my visibility, of just being consistent posting. By second year, I started getting inquiries. I started getting new clients. I started getting new opportunities. And that's come because I've built my visibility and my credibility. So to me, that's the best way to convert it into money or convert it into students, is that if you're consistent putting the content out. I don't know if that answered your question. I don't know if the name is, Machaita. I'm guessing there's a different first name, but yes, that's it's the consistency that matters, and as long as what you're giving them is value. The most popular types of videos are education, information, and entertainment. I suck at entertaining people. I know that. No, I'm not funny. I'm not. That's not my where I'm going to succeed. But educating, I've got a lot of knowledge in my area of expertise, so I would rather hone in on that. And I'm guessing, as we have a room full of faculty here, that that's going to be the area you're most comfortable with as well, which is educating. So those are the types of videos. But another thing to keep in mind is scheduling, right? Because the success of my video content didn't happen overnight. It happened by being consistent. And consistency is one of the key things that's going to help anybody grow, right? Consistency is what's going to make the difference. You have to imagine, like back in the day when we all used to sit down and watch TV shows, we all knew, what time a TV show was on, what day it was on, what channel it was on, and we'd all be sitting tuned in waiting to watch it, right? Social media is kind of the same thing. You need to find the day where you have the largest audience and capitalize on that audience. And that's the day that you should be posting your video content. And not just that, not just your audience, look at the platforms you're on. So for example, on LinkedIn, Mondays are typically a peak day. People are coming back to the office. So Monday morning, everyone's checking their LinkedIn, right? So if you're planning on having a LinkedIn strategy, it would make sense to post something, I would say, before 12, right? But then there's another surge that happens late afternoon. I wouldn't bother with Tuesday, because Tuesday everyone's now stuck at work and they're all busy. But by the end of the week, LinkedIn picks up again. So it might be you'll observe this over time and you'll realize the videos that I post on Monday do significantly better than the ones I post on the weekend, for example. So you decide, right, I'm going to be posting my video every Monday at this time. And the consistency of that scheduling and that time slot matter, right? It matches for the algorithms and it matches for your audience. Like, imagine what it's like when you're expecting a video and you don't get one. That's usually when you start, exploring other people, exploring other content, right? So you don't want to, if you have an audience, you want to keep them. So you want to keep feeding them new content. So be conscious of scheduling and when you're posting. Be conscious of the time of day you're posting. And also a separate part to scheduling is be conscious of the time it's going to take you to do it. So make sure you schedule that into your own schedules. Put time aside once a week, or in my case, I do it once a month. Once a month, I record all the videos I need for the coming month. And then once a week, I spend maybe 10 minutes and I post that particular video. So if you schedule that time in, then, it becomes part of your weekly plan and hopefully something more achievable for you. Please feel free to ask any questions as I go through this. But I wanted to also share some tactics that may help, and they're kind of small tactics, but they make a difference. So for example, on LinkedIn, I'm assuming everyone here is pretty active on LinkedIn. But what happens, you may have noticed, is when you post something and someone else comments and the next person comments, that comes back right to the top of your feed, right? So something I do is, I've posted something, let's say I've got 10 people who've commented below. I see people who reply to everyone in one go, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Why? You've just lost a week's worth of mileage from that post, right? So what I would do is I'd thank the first person, thank you so much, and then by the second day, I thank the next one. And the third day, I thank the next one. And the fourth day, I thank the next one. The reason I do that is because each day I do that, it brings that post back up to the surface of everyone's followers or everyone who they're connected to. Does that make sense? I'm gonna take silence as acceptance, just so we all know, right? Okay, so all I'm saying is, just think of what you can do, these small things you can do to make sure that your videos and your content gets more mileage than it currently has, right? Something else I do is I don't post the same content on all my social media platforms on the same day, right? So because you have different audiences on different platforms. So I'm going to ask another question. Any guesses, the percentage of your audience that's the same between Instagram and Facebook, the percentage of your audience that's the same? Percentages in the chat bar, please. Let me know your guesses. The percentage of your audience that's the same. Any guesses? 14%, 90%. Okay. Any other guesses? Abdul Ghafar's 14. Shayma's on the other extreme at 90. Anka's gone for 30. Pretty safe, somewhere in the middle. The answer might surprise you. Tahmina's 40. The correct answer is 10. So only 10% of your audience is the same between Instagram and Facebook. So this was quite surprising for me because I was someone who always believed, you know, I don't want to bore people. Yes, Abdul Ghaffar, you are the winner. You are the closest. But I always used to think that I don't want to bore people. I've posted it here. Now I'm going to post it there. They already know me. You know, I've got my audience has already seen that content. It must get pretty boring. When I realized only 10% are the same, that means 90% of my audience have not seen my content. You know, which it started to make sense that it's worth me posting it on that platform, and it's worth me staggering it as well, because you never know whose eyeballs you get second time around, third time around. So I'll often post something on LinkedIn today. I might post the same post on Instagram tomorrow. I might post the same post on Facebook the day after, because I'm literally reaching different audience members each time I do that. But it's the same piece of content that I've managed to leverage across these different platforms over the week. Yeah. So just another thing to think about there. Another, I call it a tactic, but is very underestimated, is the world of WhatsApp, which, you know, is a lot of people find annoying. But if you take your, you know, getting visibility for your content is all about reach. So I often will share my LinkedIn link to that video on a WhatsApp. So don't just share the video. That's not going to help anyone. You know, one person sees it, two people see it, then it dies. You've posted it on LinkedIn and you share the link on a WhatsApp group. And then now you've got a world of people who have to come to your LinkedIn in order to watch that video, right? And even with WhatsApp, you don't want to overdo it. So I kind of have a WhatsApp rotation, you know. So, you know, this week it might go to this group of people, but next week it might go to that group of people. And, you know, the third week it'll go to that group of people. So I'm not harassing anyone. By the time I come back to this group again, you know, a month may have passed. They're really, really small things, but just worth thinking about because they all help grow your visibility. Similarly, we do mailing lists. If I've gone and made the effort to produce a video, I don't want my video to die on that one post. How can I convert that and use it on my mailing list, right? So it could be sharing the video, sharing content from that video. So you just need to start thinking how to utilize the video further. And I'll be covering this in a little bit more detail shortly as well. So we've got to the O, which is owning your space. Learn how to attract new opportunities and standing out from the crowd in your niche. So it comes down to this question: what are you an expert in? Right? I touched on it earlier, but look at your area of expertise. What are you an expert in? What is that topic that you can confidently, you know, talk about till the cows come home? And once you've figured that out, are you passionate about it? You know, so as the example I gave you earlier about our lawyer, she's an expert lawyer, she's not passionate about it. Because she wasn't passionate about it, she kind of lost momentum and steam creating content. Creating content does take energy and time, so you want to make sure you're enjoying the process. So have a think, are you passionate about it? And something that I do, which really helps, is this process called content themes and content strands. I'm going to try and explain this and simplify it as much as possible. Sorry. So content themes is almost like buckets of information, right? So let's look at if anyone can share their areas of expertise in the chat bar. I'll try and take one as an example. Meanwhile, I'll answer Mercy's questions about writing, equally important compared to videos. Yes, text is still very important. And I would say the combination of both is important, because what you'd notice is that nowadays the caption spaces are getting longer. People are more vested, are more interested in reading and then watching, right? So it's the two need to come hand in hand. And just keeping it, but still keeping it snappy and educational. Like, I still want to learn from you. If I'm learning from you, I'll keep reading. And hopefully watch the content as well. So it is. Video has much, much higher engagement and much higher shareability than text, which is why just writing isn't going to work. So doing both is what works. Thank you, Abdul Ghaffar, for giving me the example of social entrepreneurship. So with coming back to my content themes and strands, with social entrepreneurship, so within that, I'm assuming there are many different themes, right? So it might be social entrepreneurship that organizations can do. Maybe there's something that individuals can do. Just an example. Correct me if I'm wrong, but those are maybe two examples. So that would be great. So they would be themes. They're big buckets, organizations, and then individuals, right? But within organizations, there are many strands, right? So what are the types of social entrepreneurship that organizations can get involved in, right? They're probably on a basic level, they just donate, right? But on another level, maybe they create activations and initiatives. Maybe on another level, it's part of their, you know, their weekly, maybe they've got a CSR department in their company. There are probably different areas that an organization get involved, and those would all be strands. Again, Abdul Ghaffar, let me know if that's accurate or not, but what I want everyone to realize is in your area of expertise, you have these bigger buckets, which are called themes, and within them, you have kind of subtopics, which are the strands. And what I try and do is I align a month with my themes, right? So for example, week 1 in the month would be how organizations can be doing more CSR. Week 2 in the month would be exploring new types of CSR initiatives. Week 3 in the month would be how individuals can take it upon themselves to be social entrepreneurs. And week 4 in the month may be us taking a look at a different social enterprise. Does that make sense? I've just broken that down into 4 possible themes. These are themes, right? The typical month has 4 weeks. If needs be, you have a 5th one for the months that have 5 weeks, right? And the strands, you want to make sure that you have at least 12 strands, right? So if I go back to this example, let's hope I remember it, but if our first theme was how organizations could be doing more CSR, are there 12 different ways that organizations can do that? If my second theme is how, illustrating different CSR initiatives, are there 12 different initiatives that I can talk about? If my third one is how individuals can get more involved, are there 12 different ways individuals can get involved? And if the fourth one is showcasing different social enterprises, are there 12 social enterprises I can talk about? Everyone with me? The reason I'm doing that and I'm saying 12 is because there are 12 months in a year. So if you literally do this exercise, you'll realize you have enough content for the year. And it's all focused on your area of expertise, right? And it's simply by taking your themes, choosing 4 themes and breaking those themes down to 12 strands so that you've created a content plan for your year. And I promise you, if you look at your own content plans for what you teach, you'll find it all in there. You don't actually need to come up with anything new. Just look at your curriculum, because that's how basic the information needs to be. You know, we don't want to like share something philosophical and new. It's, you know, we don't need to do that. We just need to take the basics. That's enough for people to show interest and want to follow you and learn. And keeping it simple. Anyone have any questions about this before I move on? Because I try to simplify it, but I know it can sound confusing. So let me know if you're all good, if you have a question, or if we can move on. Let me know in the chat group, and we will keep going. So I'm just going to take a mental pause. Tamam, thank you. All good, great. All good, all good. Okay. I'm gonna go with all good at this point. Great. So we'll keep going. And something else to think about, or another place where I like to use videos, which makes a big difference, is your customer journey. So especially with you guys when it comes to enrollments and inductions, and you know, you've got new batches of students, and maybe this could be an area which can actually save you a lot of time. You're probably repeating yourself multiple times with different batches and different groups, but why not really perfect the message in a video? and have those videos ready and have them as touch points for all of your new students. Something that I've started to do, which makes a really big difference, is just even on my phone, just recording small videos. We have a membership community. So whenever someone joins the membership, I literally record a short video going, just saying, hi, Hajar, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to meet you and have you in our batch. And I look forward to seeing you in the coming week. It's that simple, and it's you to your phone. And it may sound really amateur, but you'd be surprised the impact that has on the individual. You'd be surprised the impact it has on the student, like suddenly receiving something personalized for them. So it's just something to think about. Are there touch points within your customer journey which are worth turning into video content? This isn't so much about your visibility, but it definitely affects your reputation and the impact your students have when they feel that you've gone out of your way, and that a video can really add a personal dimension to that. So it's just another idea for you all. Right, so we've reached the W, which is watch your business grow. Know how to reuse your content to help you convert customers and watch it grow. I mentioned a couple of these ideas before, but ultimately, how do you get results from one video? So you don't want to keep churning out tons of videos. So these are just a few ideas. So like when I create a video, I look at teasers. Like, can I share a little bit on a WhatsApp group? Can I take a little bit of it and turn it into an ad? If it's a really important video, or maybe I've got a new course coming out and I want enrollment to be higher than it is. Is there a snippet of that I can turn into an ad and send out? Social media, I post a lot on social media because it helps. People are on it all the time, so perception is reality. The more they see you out there, the more they're likely to engage. And then you've got long form, right? So long form, so this is long form. You're all, for whatever reason, you're here, you're spending a duration with me, but most of you probably had never heard of me before, right? So this you're never going to jump into long form with a new audience. A new audience is always going to find you on social media or find you somewhere else first, and that content needs to be short, right? And then hopefully once they know you, they like you, they've bought your course, whatever it is, then you'll get them into a webinar or a presentation or a physical course, right? So I'm in a very fortunate situation where I didn't have to do the work to get an audience, but if I did, then I would have used social media and ads and WhatsApp to do that, right? Which is all short. So short form. You always need to remember attention spans are low. If I don't know you, I'm not going to invest a lot of time listening to you. So I need to get value as quickly as possible. And then once I'm convinced, I'm ready to spend an hour with you. So that's where the long form come in. A lot of Arabs get this wrong, by the way. And I'm saying this as an Arab who, like, a lot of the time they think duration is the key. They're like, oh, but it's only a minute. That's not valuable. I'm like, no, actually, if you can get a key message across in a minute, that's more valuable than having, a shopping list of information. So something to think about. And then audio is seeing a huge resurgence at the moment. So what can you do with your video content? Can you strip the audio separately? Can you actually create a podcast alongside your video content of the same content? Just take the audio and launch it separately. You don't need to do the work twice. There is, Clubhouse was pretty big, like at the start of the year, or it was last year, but we're seeing other apps, like Twitter now has audio spaces, LinkedIn is coming up with audio as well. So we're going to see more audio solutions coming out. So it is something worth thinking about. And then let's go back all the way to text. Someone asked me earlier about writing. I do still think email marketing is strong, social media posts, articles, but the reason I brought it up is you can take the same content that's in your videos. So if you've gone ahead and created a video, like transcribe that video and use the same content as a base for your next email, a base for your next social media post, or a base for your next article. I'm going to pause for a moment for anyone to ask me any questions. I can see I have one from Mohammed. Is there any way of ensuring compelling the audience to view the video content that we have already created? So if you have a specific audience that you're trying to target, it's worth understanding ads. Because honestly, with ads, you can literally like pinpoint a geographical location, a nationality, a gender, an age. You can pinpoint it all and make sure that your videos are predominantly seen by those who are more likely to engage and be interested in it. So that's something, and you could take it. I don't know how many of you are familiar with ads, but that's something I've had to teach myself, and I've experimented a lot. But sometimes it's a simple, like I'll give you one example. Like I'm a member of YAL, right? I'm a member of the Young Arab Leaders. It might be that I literally want other young Arab leaders to watch my video. So in which case I would use Young Arab Leaders as a targeting point, you know, or it might be that, you know, I'm a big fan of Entrepreneur magazine, and I know there's a mindset of people who read that magazine. So I would target readers of Entrepreneur magazine. So it actually all goes all the way back to knowing who your audience is. Like, know who you want to attract. Who is that person? If you know who that person is, you're going to create videos that will appeal to that person. You need to post them on the platforms where they already are, and then you can use ads to target them more specifically. So I hope that that answered the question, Mohammed. Anyone else have questions on this before I move on to the next part? I will give you a moment. I'm going to take silence as acceptance. Fabulous. Right. And then it comes down to distribution. So anyone here a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, or know of him or heard of him? Just let me know. Give me a yes in the chat bar if you are aware of him. He is a digital entrepreneur. Okay, he's quite well known in the US, and he's grown a business started off purely through social media. But if you follow him, he creates a lot of content like every day, and you sort of sit there, how is this possible? How is this man churning out content everywhere all the time? And he literally, he's like on every platform. He's on every platform all the time. Whether it's YouTube, he's got a daily show, podcasts are out every day, LinkedIn Lives are out every day, everywhere. And there is a logic. There is a logic that you want to be everywhere because you never know who can find you. Having said that, I think that's very possible when you have a team doing it all for you. So when you're coming back to you, I genuinely think you need to go back to that initial question: who is your customer? Where are they? And focus on that platform. Distribute on that platform. So I would rather be consistent in one or two places than be kind of not quite having a strong strategy in like 4, 5, 6 places. So for me, I know that my primary audience is on LinkedIn. So I'm very consistent on LinkedIn, and I get reasonable interest from Instagram. So those are the two places that I'm consistent. I actually don't bother about anywhere else. Unless you know you can be consistent somewhere, then my advice would be don't go there. Just stick with what's easy for you to do and what's easy for you to be consistent with. But other ways to distribute, think about physical premises. Like if you're creating video content, is there anywhere that those videos can be shown physically on site, in a campus, in your classroom? Again, like, is it worth on a website having like a catalog of all of your videos? Is it worth having a YouTube page where you just upload all your video content? I mentioned WhatsApp earlier as well. So think about all the ways you can distribute. Think about partners. Do you have certain people who are aligned with you, who would be happy to share your content? So think about the more places you can distribute your content, the higher your visibility will be. Possible partners is a key one. And your partners could be, I mean, just to give you a few examples, it could be communities, it could be locations, it could be brands. So back to Karen Osman, the author. So we started a series with her. She was helping people with their reading choices. So she'd give them tips on, the latest books, but then she also started giving people tips on writing. And Borders Bookstore was a great partner because, the way we looked at it is that we needed somewhere to film. Filming at Borders was great. She's talking about books and now she's surrounded by books. Who is the audience of Borders Bookstore? People who love reading. Who's the audience for our content? People who love reading. So we have very similar audiences. So what happened is we collaborated, created the video series, and Borders share our videos to their audience, which is just more exposure for Karen's videos. So the reason I'm giving you that example is there an entity, an organization, a community, a Facebook group who has your audience? And could you be partners with them where you're providing them regular video content, and that can help grow your visibility as well? I know, for example, if for people targeting mothers or kids, there are a lot of Facebook communities, you know, that are very focused on families. It would make sense to partner with one of them, create content, share on a group. Suddenly you're visible to a whole new audience. With our chap earlier who was talking about social enterprises, is there a community of social enterprises who'd really love your information? You know, maybe they'll see your knowledge as added value and they'll be happy to share that content for their community, which again increases your audience. So just think a little out the box. Where is your audience? Is there an organization, a community, a social media group, a location that you could partner with that would help increase your reach? Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about growing your reach. And if you can grow your reach, then you're hopefully going to get you know, more results, more and it comes back to that what I started with, which is the visibility leads to credibility, leads to profitability. So, but ultimately, consistency is the number one thing that everyone needs to think about. If you're not consistent, you will not see the results. It takes time. It takes time. And I see way too many people who post like 1 or 2 videos and then nothing happens. And then, oh, it didn't work, and they give up. I genuinely didn't start seeing results till after a year. You know, so and because that was my journey, I'm pretty confident when I say this to others. But I've seen others get results within a few months, but it's the consistency that matters, and also making sure you're providing value each time. So I think I've pretty much come to the end of this, but I'm happy to do Q&A on any of the topics that we've touched base on, because I just want to make sure after this, you all start to think about video a little bit differently. And I just want to know in the chat bar, do you feel ready? Do you feel ready? Is it a yes? Do you feel ready to get started? Let me know. Or equally not, if there's still questions I can answer, I'd love to help that, clarify that. Great. Mercy says yes. Thank you, Mercy. Anyone else? How are we feeling right now? Or anything you're unclear of or unsure of, or I don't mind even, you're buzzing. I love it. Shema, you've like gone to the top of the class right now. So anyone else, any thoughts that you have? Or any questions? I genuinely can answer just about anything about video, because that's my area of expertise, the way that you can probably answer anything about your topic. Okay.
Well, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Okay, technically, I really suck at taking pictures and photos and all of that. Okay, and if we go anywhere, I'm the last one to take a photo of anything. So how can this affect, you know, I mean, I can't see, how can I even do a video? I can't even take proper shots.
Okay, well, there are a couple of things that I'm going to suggest. I'm going to actually, after this, I'm going to send Vasilina some information about something we do called the video drive-through, because I meet a lot of people who say this, and sometimes it's just confidence. Sometimes you just need to like go ahead and do it, you know, and you realize it's not as bad as you think, you know, and it's truly practice. It's all it is. Everyone can do this. And ultimately, what I also want people to realize is it's the content that matters more than anything else. You know, so as long as your content is solid, you know, which it is, like that's the area which hopefully gives you the confidence, you know, so you know what you're talking about. And something magical happens when you start talking about something, you know, it's like you're confident in your subject matter. I'm not watching you because of the quality of the camera. I'm not watching you because, oh, you know, she's had a bad hair day, good hair day. I'm watching you because I want to learn, you know. So the key to all of this is forget everything else and focus on the message in that 1-minute content. I guarantee you, if I've learned from you, even if your video is shaky and blurry and I don't know what, I will still come back and watch it. You know, so I think that's a big mindset shift for people, especially like our generation, who maybe feel like, oh, I'm nervous, I haven't tried it, I can't use a camera, whatever. Like, it's not about any of that. Yes, we want it to look professional. Yes, we want it to look good. I agree. But that's not the reason people are watching. I have some of my phone videos that do better than some of my professional videos, as long as you're giving value is the key. But in any case, I'm going to send Vasilina some details in case you really want to see, like we have this experience where we help people in an hour, like literally come, script, film, edit, see a video. you know, because some people need that push to like, just try it, just see, and you can do it. So
So
ask her
you
to share that.
basically need to have also a prep theme in your head on what you need to be prepped up before you actually do the video. And you have everything all set up in your mind.
Yeah, my advice would be to, before anyone does anything, right? Before anyone does anything, go back to the very beginning and ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? What is the area of expertise? What do you want to be known for? Like, don't just turn the camera on and start speaking. You know, what do you want to be known for? Once you figured that out, what's the area of expertise? Go back to that exercise of content themes and content strands. Like, okay, I want to be known for social entrepreneurship. Great. What are the areas I can talk about in social entrepreneurship? I can talk about social entrepreneurship for companies. I can talk about it for individuals. I can talk about it, the initiatives out there. I can talk about the different companies out there. Great. I have my themes. Now the strands equate to a video. So each strand is one video, right? So if I'm going to talk about social enterprises, I know 12 enterprises. Amazing. Each enterprise is one video. How do I tell their story in a minute? So it needs a little bit of thought, you know, a little bit of thought. But if you think it through and simplify it, you'll realize it's much easier than you think, you know. And then it's like, halas, I'm going to spend a minute. And the other thing, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit and just talk about what to say, right? So this is quite important for everyone here in terms of how to structure that minute, right? So you have to realize that you need a really strong hook. You know, for someone to show interest in your content, you need to grab them in. So how am I going to get your attention straight away? I'm going to have a hook. My hook needs to be something I'm interested in. So in my case, I normally have a statistic. Like maybe I'll say a statistic like, did you know that 66% of people are more likely to do business with you after they've watched you on camera? And that usually makes people go, 66? Really? Oh my God, I didn't know that. Let me watch. You know, so statistics help. Or you throw a question. It was like, are you watching this thinking, I really can't get myself in front of a camera? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I really can't get myself in front of a camera. You know, so it's like you're asking a question that makes someone relate. You know, or you really do something out of the box that grabs their attention. So you have to think of that opening hook. You then want to go into the education part, right? The education part turns into, well, here are my top 3 ways that you can overcome camera shyness. You know, number 1, do this. Number 2, do that. Number 3, do this. You know, so I'm telling you, here are my top 3 ways. So I already know coming in, this is a short video, I've got 3 ways coming. You know, number 1, this, number 2, this, number 3, this. So I've learned something from you, right? And at the end, you want to do a call to action. If you still have questions, I'd love to support you. Please reach out to me in details below.
And still keep all of that under 1 minute.
It is very possible. Yes. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like I can give you so much information in a minute. People underestimate what's possible in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, I can time myself now. I said, did you know that viewer retention drops at 1 minute 40? What does that mean? It means that your videos need to be short. Think about it. Are you going to watch a long video when it's sent to you? What's the duration of the videos that you're going to watch? Make sure that when you're creating videos, you keep it to just under 1 minute, the way I have now, so that you can learn. Halas.
I think even Snapchat trims the videos to 46 seconds, I think, or something like that, under a minute.
It's getting
no matter how long your video is, it trims it down.
So you just want to make sure that the meat is there.
Yeah.
You know, that you've given them some. If someone is only going to watch a minute, don't spend the whole minute introducing yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, ultimately, if I've just come across you, I don't mean to be blunt, but I don't care. You know, I don't know you. Why am I going to sit and watch this? But you taught me something straight away. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know. You know, I once watched a 15-second video from an accountant. I hate accounting, but I literally, she just got my interest straight away, because she just said, she said, are you thinking where's all your money going? You know, well, here's my tip. She said, go into your website, go into your inbox, find all of the subscriptions that you have, find the ones that you've forgotten, and just click on subscribe and see how much you save. You know, everything from your Netflix to your whatever to whatever. And that was the end of it. She said, do the exercise and let me know. That was the end of the video. And I suddenly walked away and I was like, how many things am I subscribed to? How many things, maybe I should check my inbox. And it just made me think, it made me think like, yeah, this is an exercise I should try doing and see what I should unsubscribe from. It was so simple. It was so short, but she gave me a useful tip. And because of that, I went back for her. She gave me one, she'll give me another one. And that's how the credibility builds. If I keep hearing useful tips, one day I need an accountant, I'm going to reach out to her. And that's where whoever asked me earlier about the monetization, I can see another question now about monetization, but that's genuinely, I think that's how videos get you the results. It's not about like making money through YouTube ads. It's about attracting bigger opportunities. Like I attracted a consulting project in November, which actually I find this super interesting. Someone I met 10 years ago, right? Someone I met 10 years ago, worked with him 10 years ago on a project, haven't seen him or worked with him since. And suddenly in November, I got a LinkedIn message, right? Saying, we're looking for a video specialist for this consulting project. I've been watching your videos. I can see that you've been busy. We'd love to chat and see if you can help us with this project. To me, that's super fascinating because I haven't spoken to you in 10 years. We all have these LinkedIn connections. We're just sitting there in the ether, So I haven't spoken to you. I didn't know that you're sitting there watching my videos, but it resulted in a very decent consulting project. That's what I consider monetization, not my however many cents for however many views on a YouTube video. So to answer your question, Manny, how does monetization of videos work in YouTube? So it's basically you sign up for your videos to be monetized and ads get placed in your video content. And there are different types of ads that can get placed, either get placed at the start, in the middle, at the end, throughout, and you start accumulating literally cents, every time people watch these ads. But you have to also remember that that impacts the viewing experience of whoever's watching the content. So if the content isn't really like grabbing me, it's usually when the ads come up that people try and skip or leave or go somewhere else. So it's one of those things to think about. Hope that answered that. I went on a bit of a detour, but hopefully that was a useful one. I'll just go back to some of these questions. Abdul Ghaffar, should you buy a camera to start off with? Honestly, just start with your phone. If you're currently not doing any videos, just start with your phone. That's the easiest, simplest thing to start with, just to get going. But having said that, there are 3 things I tell everybody to purchase. So even on your phone. So what I suggest you do is get a microphone, because sound is 50% of your viewing experience, right? And most microphones can plug into your phone. So I'm talking about something really simple. They cost anywhere between 250 dirham to 500 dirham at like a Sharaf DG. And the brand, one of the best brands to go for is called Rode, R-O-D-E. The reason I say that is because even coming back to Shema, to your question earlier about not being comfortable with the camera, sound still matters. Even if your shot doesn't look good, it's blurry, the sound is what will impact people and they'll switch off. So just make sure you have sound, a microphone. Tripod is quite important. It could be something really, really simple again. This is like something that I use all the time, really, really small, and it just stands. And then it's like, that's if I'm on a desk, or then it kind of lengthens. But again, they're like 70 dirham to 100 dirham. So it doesn't have to be something complicated, but at least it means that, the visual is steady. And then light, so always like a ring light is useful. The reason people get a ring light is just because it balances the light across your face. Although alternatively, like I don't have a light on right now because I'm facing a window. So always be conscious of where you're positioned. Like you want to make sure that you're using the light source to uplift yourself. I see way too many people, especially in the era of Zoom, with the window behind them. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing putting the light source behind you? Like I've got a shadow in front of me. So just be conscious of how some of these things look, because they're in your hands to manage that. Let me see, camera phone, I think I mentioned that already. Do you use specific software for editing the video? So if you have an Apple laptop, then iMovies is fine. It's pretty easy to use. There are quite a few apps if you're doing stuff on your phone that work really well. You've got, 1 minute, I'm in danger of forgetting the name of the app. Let me see. I will get the name of the app because I have a feeling I'm having a brain fog moment. But there are quite a few. If you go into the App Store and type in editing, you'll find so many. But there are a couple that I normally recommend because they have inbuilt music libraries. So I apologize. I will see if that comes back to me during the duration of the session and let you know. But they're very simple to use on your phone. But iTunes, the Apple inbuilt editing software works really well if you're able to do that. Do you specific software? Okay, I answered that. I think shooting the easiest part of video content creation process. The content is more important. Yeah, content is the most important, which is kind of what I was trying to emphasize. As long as you've got your content right, that will attract an audience. Microphone, tripod, light, yes. How about using sound and images that are in line with content? Yes, so that always works. When you say that, Mercy, do you mean using sound images as in additional images, like footage, additional footage? Is that what you mean? I'm assuming that might be what you mean. So you can,
yeah, because sometimes, you know, there are very good videos with just images rather than the person speaking. Mm-hmm. They select the images that go along with the content.
Yes, you're right.
Usually they are very, very good.
Yeah, so you're right. That does work very well. However, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to get much higher results from your own people seeing you on camera. You know, so if people see you on camera, that's when you see results or see more conversions. So that's why I normally recommend doing the pieces to camera, or maybe, you know, doing a demonstration or interview, which includes you. But popular videos, you know, exist without someone talking to camera and just using footage. So yes, you can still do that. Yeah. Any other questions out there? Can one develop content based on the trends or needs and not one's expertise? Yes. So this is it's a good question, Fazli. The one thing I would say is that we have a few people who do that, but then make sure you bring in the credibility into your content. So what I mean by that is that we have one lady who's super passionate about educating mums on how to handle their kids, but she herself, she's not from she doesn't have an education background. She's not a teacher. She's not a psychologist. So what does she do? She interviews teachers, psychologists. She gets the right people into her content who give her the credibility and share that knowledge. Otherwise, it just becomes your opinion, right? So if you want to be credible in an area that you are not an expert in, then make sure you start bringing credible experts into your content, interviewing them, getting their sound bites, because that will help position your content as a credible source. That makes sense. Yeah. Any other questions? I'll give you guys some time to you can do research as well. Yeah, absolutely, research. But at the end of the day, people will always trust someone more if they're from that industry or have that expertise. So you can definitely build that expertise and, you know, have, along with the research and along with bringing in other experts. But I would definitely leverage other people's knowledge and not just start sharing knowledge in something you don't have a background in. It could backfire.
Reim, I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, maybe you haven't finished.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, do you have any tips on how to overcome being shy in front of camera?
The ones that I would suggest is, I mean, they sound very basic, but like try using a mirror, like literally repeat things to yourself, you know, looking at the mirror. Something else is, it's sometimes easier at least for me, I find it easier with a camera because you just like stare at the lens, you know. So something a lot of people do is they stare at themselves, right? So I'll give you this example. So right now we're on this Zoom call, and I'm hoping you can tell the difference between me looking at you guys on the screen. So I'm now looking down at all of you on the screen versus me looking straight at the lens. Can you see the difference between the two? So looking straight at the lens, I probably feel more connected to you because I'm looking straight at you versus looking down at all the faces that I see on the Zoom. And a lot of people will do that on their phones. They're like holding the phone and they're looking at themselves. They're not actually looking up at the lens, right? So, and I think that's a big part to it. If you need to, put a sticker on, put a Post-it note on the camera, like so that you're not looking at yourself and you start looking up at the screen, because at the lens, sorry, because the lens is literally a dot. So if you're just staring at that dot, you kind of, that removes that self-judgment where you're kind of looking at how you look and how you've said something and did it come out right. It's like, let's eliminate all of that. Just stare at the lens, imagine that your best friend is on the other side, and tell them what you want to say. And it comes with practice. It's not like it may not happen overnight. It's a case of trying it, doing it again. And I would suggest watching yourself. So like do it a few times, watch yourself, see where, things may not be working out the way you want them to, and try again. The other interesting thing to try doing is watch other people present. Like what tips can you pick up from others that you like? And sometimes also simple things like keeping yourself grounded. So like for me, I know I'm stronger standing than sitting. It's like such a small thing, but it makes a difference. Like when I'm standing, I'm like in control. When I'm sitting, it's not as confident, or it could be just like even things like holding your hands. Because like they're all the same tips that are used for public speaking, but like holding your hand, you're less likely to fidget, and you're just like more in control. So it's trial and error, but just go for it and try. Because if you're not visible, you're invisible. Right. Yeah. But I was just going to share, like, these are just some of the examples I've mentioned already. So Chef Sven, you should, he's got a bakery in Marina, the Dusit Marina. He's such an interesting character. He's German. And yeah, he just literally, he's so passionate about bread that everything else that's the only thing that matters. So it's like he'll sit there and start telling you about kneading the dough, drying the dough, baking the dough. And I'm not a dough person, clearly, but it's just like, okay, the passion translates. It's all about passion. So make sure, sorry, that keeps happening. Make sure it's something that you really are passionate about, and then you'll be able to overcome. And I mentioned Karen as well, Karen's bookshelf. This is actually a good example to show you about the importance of thumbnails and like how things look when you're posting. I mean, you don't have to have a thumbnail, but it does make a difference. It does stand out more if you just have an image, ideally with your face, because people are more likely to click on your face than they are just to click on text. Just telling people what that video is about. Writing tips, 4 steps to help you outline your novel. I know exactly what's going to happen in this video. So that helps my decision making in watching the video. Yeah, I'm ready to watch this. I want to learn. So it's worth thinking about, how do you title your videos? Do you have a thumbnail? How do you make that short and catchy for people to click and want to watch? And then my favorite example is genuinely Lucy Chow. I don't think any of you mentioned that you knew her, but the reason I love her example is because she's so well known, she's so confident, yet she was not confident about creating videos, which surprised me. It just made me think, how is it possible that someone like you isn't confident about creating videos? But mainly her key objection was she felt that everything she had to share was already in the public domain. So she really felt that, what's the point? People can Google it, people can find it out. It's like, I'm not sharing anything new. Like, yeah, but you all have your own voices, so you're going to share it from your perspective and from your expertise. Are there any experiences where the person doesn't show their face? Yeah, so I think that's similar to what Mercy was saying earlier. There are, you can produce videos without showing your face. All I'm saying is that you'll build a more personal connection with people if you do, and the results are significantly higher. The success rate is higher in terms of conversion. The trust level is higher. You're all in the teaching field, which means I want to build trust with you, and that's going to work when I see you. So you can do it without your face. You will have more success if you do. So it's just something for you to keep in mind. Are there any other questions I can answer? Because I have a feeling I've reached the end of my presentation, which is that I really hope you get this one thing, which is that you have the power to be visible and attract new customers from your target market right now. So it's all in your hands to do this. And it's literally, it's taking that expertise and that knowledge that you teach every single day. You know, you're creating lesson plans and your curriculums to follow, and you have all the knowledge, and breaking that down into really simple themes, strands, and turning each strand into one video and keeping it as simple and as short as possible. And then also understanding, who are you trying to reach? Who are you trying to reach? Where are they? And making sure you're posting your content in the relevant place to reach that audience. And above all, consistency. So if you're consistent, you'll start to see results. Unfortunately, if you stop along the way, you'll have a bit of a slower journey. But it is possible for pretty much everybody. So I have faith, and I'm happy to continue answering any questions. I do think that's the last of my slides. So I'm going to stop sharing because I have to find this video editing app because it's going to drive me crazy. But please feel free to ask any questions because I'm just going to take a moment to find this this app. Are there any more questions that anybody has? Okay, let's see. No questions? Well, I am here. I'm happy to answer any. And when I find this video app, I'll send it to Vasilina because it's literally going to bother me now for the next half an hour or so.
Thank you, Reem.
Thank you very much. And
It was
thank you
an
all for your attention.
amazing experience for us. We learned a lot of things, and we'll keep in touch. And again, many thanks to our partners from Young Arab Leaders.
Absolutely. And what I might do is, just in case anyone does want to reach out for anything, I'm on LinkedIn as my name. So my name is Reim El Houni, and I'm on most social media platforms as Reim El Houni as well. And that's also my email address. So great. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And Ramadan Kareem to those who are